The Wendigo holds a special place among North American cryptids. For those who have seen this creature, the name alone is enough to send chills through their spines. Most people dismiss it as mere myth, but what exactly is the Wendigo? We're about to cover everything you need to know, and perhaps more than you ever wanted to know.
There's 51 million people entering another
surveillance camera capturing the
unidentified flying
lockdowns and mass testing.
Today, that the world is going to end.
Wendigo Basics. The Wendigo is often depicted as a giant, two-legged creature with horns and a gaunt face, and it has been described as a werewolf on steroids. Perhaps the most defining characteristic of the Wendigo is its cannibalistic tendencies. In many ways, they are more spiritual than physical, and their presence on the earth symbolizes greed and gluttony. Wendigos are never satisfied, and they're always on the hunt for new victims to consume. But no matter how many people they eat, they remain so thin that their flesh hangs from their bones. Long yellow fangs protrude from their mouths, while their fingers end in vicious claws. Their eyes glow, while their skin carries a dull yellow hue. Perhaps the Wendigo's most disturbing ability is their power to possess humans. It is said that they specifically target people who are troubled by greed, perhaps because it is easier to mold their minds toward cannibalism. This would suggest that Wendigos could be interdimensional entities that cannot manifest in this reality without a human host. The lore also states that a new Wendigo is created whenever a human being resorts to cannibalism. The implication here is that the evil spirit is a reflection of our most despicable traits, a manifestation of malevolent energy that somehow coalesces, taking physical form, and becomes sentient. According to the legends, Wendigos also have hearts of ice. Some even say that their entire body is made from ice. A Wendigo can be very stealthy when it wants, to the point where they're almost impossible to detect, until it's far too late. In some stories, Wendigos have the power to control the weather. While some describe the beast as shambling along like a zombie, others say that it is capable of superhuman speed. The Wendigo also relies on its voice to lure in prey. According to various stories, this beast can perfectly mimic the sound of a human voice. This allows the creature to draw people away from populated areas and into forests where they are consumed. Although the Wendigo's exact size varies depending on the story, it is said to be roughly 3 times the height of a human. The word Wendigo roughly translates as the evil spirit that devours humans in the Native American languages spoken by tribes like the Algonquin. Is the Wendigo real? But everything I've just said is fiction, right? Perhaps not. Various witnesses claim to have seen the Wendigo, and some were even allegedly possessed by the beast. Most of these sightings took place between the 1800s and 1920s. Since then, the Wendigo has gone quiet. According to the Algonquin people, the Wendigo became especially active around the year 1900, with many mysterious disappearances reported. Whether it's a coincidence or not, anthropologists have determined that the Native Americans only started telling stories of the Wendigo after the Europeans arrived. From the late 1800s to the 1920s, a Wendigo was spotted several times in northern Minnesota. After each sighting, someone unexpectedly died in the nearby city of Roseau. One notable sighting took place on a Navajo reservation in Arizona, and the beast was seen by a woman delivering newspapers. She later stated that the Wendigo tore the door of her car open and reached for her child in the passenger seat. She was able to escape by slamming on the accelerator. However, the creature was so fast that it kept pace with the vehicle for quite some time. If you want to see a Wendigo for yourself, I don't know why you would, but if you do, you should probably head to Kenora, Ontario, Canada. This town has earned the title Wendigo Capital of the World, and there have been more sightings here than anywhere else on the planet. While reports of Wendigos have waned since the 1920s in other parts of the world, sightings remain relatively frequent in Kenora. In 2019, strange shrieks started emanating from the woods in northern Ontario. Many took this as proof that the Wendigo still exists. Some anthropologists have suggested that the Wendigo could be some kind of undiscovered humanid or primate that lived in North America long ago. Others have proposed a similar theory to explain the Sasquatch. But remember, the Wendigo can also possess people, and reports of Wendigo possession are even more disturbing than the sightings. In the winter of 1878, a Native American man named Swift Runner was allegedly possessed by a Wendigo. This caused him to murder and consume his entire family. When the authorities researched this crime, they discovered that food and supplies were available just 25 miles away, which means that he didn't eat his family as a last resort due to starvation. Swift Runner later admitted that he had been possessed by a Wendigo before he was hanged. Around the same time, a medicine man named Jack Fiddler was earning a reputation for hunting and killing Wendigos. In some cases, he was also asked to kill people who had allegedly been possessed by Wendigos. When the Canadian authorities caught wind of this, they sentenced him to prison for homicide. In the early 20th century, mainstream psychologists began to take the Wendigo seriously. So seriously, in fact, that they created a new mental condition called Wendigo disorder. According to the International Statistical Classification of Diseases and Related Problems, Wendigo disorders involved cannibalistic obsessions, depression, homicidal or suicidal thoughts, and a delusional, compulsive wish to eat human flesh. Psychologists are still debating whether or not this disorder is actually real. It doesn't appear anymore in the modern population, and the only recorded examples are from decades ago. Nevertheless, we can't deny that these people were seemingly afflicted by some kind of ailment that made them crave human flesh. Final thoughts. The Wendigo, if it's real, is a very mysterious creature, more so than well-known cryptids such as the Sasquatch or the Loch Ness Monster. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not real. The sightings recorded in the early 1900s combined with the legitimate psychological research makes the Wendigo an intriguing prospect. Whether it's a psychological disorder, a real creature, a symbol of humanity's greed, or a mental illness, we'll never know. I only hope that I never meet a Wendigo. Thanks for watching. Be well.